advantage, spawning in the top left position as the red Terran player here. Representing Imperius Gaming, we have Sol, Grandmaster EU player, and facing him, a pro player for Fnatic, doing a tremendous job winning a long game in game number 1, showing great patience there, and effectively out-macroing his opponent, but only in the end game, it has to be said. A lot of stuff can happen up to that point. Let's see if he's able to hold on and take this 2-0. We have Harstem.
So, we had a little bit of a map mix-up previously. Basically in the sense that we were on Akelon Waste, and then Harstem was all like, I vetoed this, and Sol was like, but it's loser's pick, and then Harstem copied and pasted the rules, which basically meant that you veto until 3 remain, and then you play them in the order of picked. So, it was veto for all, and obviously I think that's good for Harstem, because Akelon Wastes, you are so vulnerable to getting dropped, and that's something that he wouldn't have really wanted, and Belshir is a very interesting map, I must say.
Yeah, Belshir, of course, I still can't get Fat Ohana out of my head. But obviously, when you compare it to Ohana, significantly larger map, just gives a little bit more scope for counterattacks and potential other avenues of attack. We see the destructible rocks in the middle of the map not really play a big role in a lot of the games we've seen. Yes, it opens up another way to get to your opponent, but at the end of the day, it's viewable by either watchtower, and people tend to like to go one way or the other. So I haven't seen that play into these games too much. Not a lot of dead space around the edge, though. So drops a lot less effective here than, for example, on Akelon Wastes.
Now, in terms of build order and what we should be seeing out of these two, I'm really thinking that Sol may mix it up a little bit, not go for that sort of macro timing pushes that he went previously, and may actually go for something a lot more aggressive, just because he desperately wants to win this game, and late game Harstem just looked so solid previously. I think that he would take his best bet just trying to end it early on.
Reaper expand coming out of here from Sol. So definitely going to try and macro up as much as possible here. We can see that because he actually pulled all of his SCVs out of his refinery after getting enough gas for that Reaper. So there we go. The command center going down on the low ground now as well. As the Reaper pops out, we'll be able to provide valuable scouting information. Now, Sol needs to be careful with this Reaper. Yes, okay, he got 2 kills in the last game with the previous Reaper, but his Reaper is there primarily as a source of information. If he can pick off a probe, great, but it's not worth the Reaper's life to pick off one more if it means your Reaper can go in another 2 minutes and scout the tech.
So, this is, well, Sol's going really quite economical, actually, to be honest. It's pretty much as economical as you can go, obviously, without skipping the gas. But Harstem, he's going a bit more safely this game. He's getting out his mothership core very early on. He's also got 2 gas, so he can go quite tech-heavy off the back of this. Should be expanding shortly, though, and this is now going to be probably quite a passive early game segment, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Harstem is a game up. He's feeling fairly confident in his ability to win this best of 3. So what you really want to do here, rather than I mean, the tilt move here would be, oh, I'm so much better than my opponent, I'm going to cheese and win, which, of course, backfires in so many occasions I cannot possibly tell you. So Harstem's playing it very safe here. He is just playing out a normal macro style, saying, hey, I won a macro game in the last one. There's absolutely no reason why I can't win a macro game again, and he'd be completely right in thinking that. Sol, on the other hand, playing very economical himself, possibly realizing where he thinks he fell down in that last game, and seeing if he can't just gather himself, be nice and calm, and just try and do as best he can in this game number 2.
Now, I think that's a really wise point to make, that a lot of players would just go for something really risky and maybe go for an all-in, but I think Harstem, just being sensible, playing him more straight up, he's getting his robotic facility down. It's an identical build to the first game, because if it worked, why change it?
Oh, and this Reaper gets so much crucial scouting information as well. Needs to be careful he doesn't accidentally run into a couple of these units. He wants to try and get down past the cliff, but he sees the sentry and the mothership core over there on the left-hand side. Oh, is he actually going to get away from the left? Yes, he is. The sentry unable to keep him out there. So really nice. Gets a full scout off, sees the 3 gateways and the robotics facility, knows that it's the same build as the last game, even picking off a probe. This guy is an absolute hero, but he really needs to think about taking his pension and getting the hell out of there.
Yeah, he wants to get out, do a little bit of drugs, of course, because that's how you heal up, apparently, as a Terran. And, of course, you've also got the starport and factory coming out behind this. So this is all just looking very, very standard. We've got Stim on its way. No +1 or engineering bay yet, but I imagine that will get started up fairly shortly. It's kind of an integral part unless you're going for a very specific timing push. So, all in all, I'd say this game is now definitely getting into the mid-game section. And with the robotics bay coming out, Harstem really going identical in terms of its build to the map Daybreak.
That's right. I mean, like, shall we make predictions on whether or not he goes for a single Colossus and then stops, and then potentially goes for Storms afterwards? It looks like that might be the case again. Harstem very set in his ways, but to be fair, they win him Gabes. And we're going to see a hallucinated Phoenix now move via that Reaper there. He's going to be scouting off pretty much everything inside the main base. Sol has seen he's moving some Marines back in to try and deny the scout, but it won't get there quite fast enough to intercept.
No, the Phoenix is going to get a complete read on everything. Important thing it spots, though, hopefully, is the fact that there isn't an engineering bay. That is an important thing to know about, because that means Harstem doesn't have to rush about getting his own double upgrades or anything like that. Just starting +1 now, and has already got his forges down. So knows that if he starts +1 armor as well, he should be able to get ahead slightly very, very early on. The double engineering bays are also coming down, but of course with chrono boosts, Harstem will keep and really maintain an upgrade advantage throughout this game now.
Yeah, I think so. As long as he continues to make sure his upgrades are constantly building from somewhere, Harstem has guaranteed himself that he won't be at an upgrade disadvantage against his Terran opponent at any point during this game, and that is a big thing to be. Meanwhile, a couple of observers are going to spot this medevac over here on the right-hand side. Oh dear, a second one coming in for a double drop as well, but Harstem, his his observer placement has just been phenomenal, and I think this has been a trademark of when he was playing against Nama as well. We were mentioning when Harstem was in the groove, he would have so many observers out on the map in great locations that drops were basically impossible without him knowing about them.
Yeah, so this is just really, really good scouting, really good basically map awareness, knowing what's going on. A small little movement of those Marines there get pretty well taken out with some good force fields and the Colossus. And as you were quite right in predicting, a single Colossus coming out and the tech switch on its way. The Templar, the Twilight Council already on its way down. The 1-1 upgrades are half complete. Currently not getting chrono boosted. There is some chrono boost stacked up, so it'll be interesting to see what Harstem chooses to use those on.
Definitely. I mean, I am not 100% certain at this point in time. You're right, though. He has a decent amount of chrono boost back up here. He isn't building any more tech buildings at the moment, so it's not like he's going straight into a Templar Archives and immediately getting that storm out. We don't see anything along those lines. He's actually going to be taking his third base as well, and he's gone up to 500 gas, so he's a lot of gas spare at the moment. Going to be starting charge, but I really want to know what he wants to be spending this gas on in the long term.
Well, he could get a quick Templar Archives out and then commit quite heavily to those High Templar. This drop, of course, not going to be too successful, with the observers just giving complete vision all around the map. We've also got a push coming into the third that's trying to come down. Sol desperately wants to force this to cancel. But as we can see, Harstem just pulling all of his army, and just one Marauder and 3 Marines will not be able to shut that down.
Definitely not, as Harstem moves that away. And once again, the 2 dropships, now they're being boosted and, right into the path of a couple of Stalkers, and that is no coincidence, thanks to the fantastic observer placement here from Harstem. I'm surprised Sol hasn't tried to snipe off a couple of observers since, but of course they're very, very difficult to spot, especially when they're not moving.
Yeah, they are really, really awkward to get a good read on. We do now have the Templar Archives getting started. The 2-2 upgrades also on their way down, getting chrono boosted now by Harstem. Charge is nearly complete, so that slight upgrade advantage is going to start being really capitalized on, because also Sol has not yet started his 2-2 upgrades. That will put him behind, and you don't want to get your upgrades behind that of a Protoss player. Now, we do see that this third Nexus is taking quite a large chunk of damage here. A couple of Marauders and the Marines are in position, but will be forced to pull out, boosting away in those medevacs to safety, and that just means that Harstem will be able to keep this up for the moment. The worker count, 54 to 58 probes, but with with Mules, that actually means that things are looking very, very equal and slightly in Sol's favor.
Yeah, the problem for Sol at the moment is that he hasn't done any damage to Harstem. Yes, he got a lot of shields off on that third Nexus, but don't forget, the shields were still there at the end of it. No real damage has been done.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you there, Joe. Sorry, the natural expansion was about to get pushed into, but luckily pulling out in time. Ooh.
Just about there. Actually, forcing the photon overcharge on that Nexus means the mothership core doesn't have as much energy. So if Sol had spotted that, perhaps this could be a decent time to potentially push back into the third. These Vikings looking like they want to give their lives to pick apart this Colossus, and just about able to. But now we have Harstem pushing in with a ground army that's looking pretty fearsome indeed. 118 to 126 supply, and Sol is, he needs to be careful with that medevac. Good boost there. He's going to have to get away.
Now, Harstem, he's also getting a good number of High Templar, but has not even started Storm yet, using them solely for getting down those Archons. And literally, as I say that, he starts the Storm upgrades. But 2-2 is now just completing for Harstem, and is still a good 120 seconds away from completion for Sol.
I would not mind seeing Harstem utilize Chrono Boost just a little bit more. He's got a lot saved up. Ooh, a triple draw coming in out the right-hand side now, and Sol and Harstem both out in the middle of the map. Sol actually needs to pull back. He cannot engage his army as it currently stands. And here comes a triple drop. This time he's just going to go straight in. Yes, the observers might see them, but to hell with it. I'm going to make sure I just get in as quickly as humanly possible. And he's gone in within the gateways here. So he should be able to get a couple of production structures and pylons down before anything else happens. Oh, if he gets the pylons behind there and unpowers all these gates, that could be pretty big.
It could be pretty big, but it looks like he's prioritizing the moment, taking out a lot of probes, also going to try and snipe off the Nexus, and should be able to get that very comfortably, because the units are not going to get back in time. He needs to pick up though and boost out very quickly, and indeed does so, but a good feedback there, does get 2 of the medevacs, so only 1 managing to get away with its life. But for a Nexus, I'd say that's probably relatively worth it.
And once again, we have a situation where it's feeling very similar to Daybreak. Just the one Colossus out in the meantime. Oh, as the drop comes back into the main. And despite just having that there, as the Archon takes apart the medevac, so there'll be no escape, picks off a Nexus, does Sol, but the potential counter-attack from Harstem here could be very, very strong, and Sol once again has to watch himself. His macro behind this needs to be a little bit better. He's up to 60 workers, but he stopped producing SCVs a while ago now, and on 3 base could potentially get a few more.
So, what do you do in Sol's position now? You picked apart your opponent's main base. Best thing you can do at the moment is sit back, make sure he techs up, get some ghosts out to deal with those High Templar very effectively, because currently he has got none on the field, and then just be really quite defensive, because his army is not as big as that as Harstem's, but he should know economically he's in a really comfortable position.
Making 2 additional command centers at the 3rd base location. I like this because you'll be able to get some mules out a little bit later on, but his SCV count just hasn't been what it should have been this game. And I also want to see him put a couple of drops towards the left-hand side as well. He's been repeatedly trying and failing with these drops on the right. A double drop going into the main now, but we do have a single medevac going into the left-hand side position as well. And a lot of zealots getting dropped. It looks like the drop will actually clean them up, though. Great feedback on the medevacs, but a stim on these units means that they're going to get in another zealot run by.
The 3rd base is taking a lot of damage. The cannon there gets taken out. So many probes going out. Meanwhile, Zealots on the full force of Harstem pushing straight in the front door. And we see SCVs are getting pulled to repair that bunker and won't be able to keep it up.
And Harstem at the moment trying to pick his opponent apart faster than his opponent can pick him apart. The drop in the main base is still alive. The drop in the 3rd base is still alive. Both players here just trying to tax each other's multitasking as much as possible. The thing is, though, the firepower from Harstem, just the sheer grunt of this army, is significantly larger than that of Sol.
Harstem at 139 supply to just 123 of Sol. But Sol, he has done some relatively good damage. He's killed 27 probes behind this, but he's lost his natural base now. He took a lot of damage there. Admittedly, the Orbit Command is still up and running, but just as you said, the standing army for Harstem looking pretty huge. You've got the drop trying to come back in, but Stalkers are there, ready to take it out at the 3rd base and will be able to knock it down. That means no escape. The 3rd for Sol is having to be abandoned now, and really he's in a massive amount of problems.
Yeah, the big difference really between these two players at the moment is that Harstem sent his entire army to take apart Sol, whereas Sol just had a couple of dropships. And yes, the dropships did a decent amount of damage, but they're never going to be able to do as much DPS as an entire army. And right now, Harstem is enjoying a lead of over 50, as Sol forced to lift up at his natural and his 3rd base right now. He's effectively not mining from anything other than the last dregs of his main base, and Harstem, in the meantime, is still enjoying 3 base mining. So that is what the difference came out to.
Now, the really big figure I want to give you, Jorasar, is that the army supply for Harstem is double that of Sol. Some great storms going off there, just chain storming the entire army, and that's GG right there. And indeed, it is called incredible, incredible storms there by Harstem, which of course we know he's very, very good at.